This is War of the Suns, Chinese War of Resistance, 1937-1945. We're looking at the second part of HQs, which is activation. And the activation phase is the meat and potatoes of this game. It's where most of the activity goes on. For a unit to actually move and fight, it's got to be activated. And activation takes place via your HQs. But your HQs have two components. You've got your actual HQ unit that's on the map, and then you've got your activation chits here. Now, the activation chits basically correspond to each HQ. So there's the First Army, Japan there. That's the physical HQ on the map, and it says that you've got a limit of 3 possible activations you can make in a single turn. So you can activate units multiple times, right? You also have a thing called a command point. The command points give you the ability to make activations. Each activation costs 2 command points. Why they did that, I don't really know. Why they didn't just make it 1 and have half the number of command points. I'm probably missing something though, making that statement. The number of command points is determined by order of battle. Well, yeah, basically the order of battle, the game turn track for the Japanese and the Western Allies. For the Komatang, it's always has a base of 13, but that can change due to due to inflation and things like that, which affects the efficiency of the entire army. The communists only get 6, unless they've got less than 3 actual HQs on the map, and then they get 2 times the number of HQs and command points. Now, we're at the start of the activation phase. There's sort of like a sequence of who can sort of say, well, I want to make a potential activation. The order that's done in is Japan, then the Western Allies, then the Communists, then the Komitang. Now, if you say, I don't want to make an activation, you can do that for 2 reasons. You can do that because you haven't got any command points left, or you haven't got any HQs on the track that still have any activations remaining, or you could just voluntarily say, well, I don't want to make a move, I don't want to activate at this particular point in time. Okay, now if multiple sort of groups decide they want to activate, your groups being Komatang, CCP, Japan, and CCP, Japan, and Western Allies. Okay, what happens is each side will roll a 1d6. All right, and really what happens is the one who gets the highest score becomes the phasing player for this activation. Now, if there's a draw, you re-roll, but if you've actually already made an activation in the previous cycle, you get -1 to your die roll. So say Japan did an activation and then they wanted to do another one in the next set of activations, their die roll would be -1. If they'd done 2 activations on a trot, it would be -2. You cannot do more than 3 activations on the trot. I've just remembered, to do that you would have had to win all those dice rolls, okay, even with the negatives being applied to them. Next thing is the activation itself. Just let me pull. Right, I'd say the activation cycle continues until all sides either have no HQs capable of activation, no command points, or they all voluntarily decide to not to take an activation. That will actually end the turn. Okay. There are some little oddities of activations. If you've got an HQ which is lower on the hierarchy being the left-hand unit here, this is probably a good example actually. Right, you've got this Chen unit which is hierarchy of 5 against the GHQ which is hierarchy of 6. You could actually activate Chen using one of its 2 activations, but instead of Chen actually activating, the GHQ would activate. Now normally you'd be in different hexes. Say I'd be over here. I've got a command radius basically of 6 hexes, so if I spend 2 command points to activate this, I could actually activate this one instead. This one would then be reduced, the command points would be reduced, and its thingamajig and its total activations would go down by 1. Okay, it's just a way of getting more activations out of your higher ranked unit. Correction, that would really doesn't really do that. What it would do would allow you to activate, say I pulled this off and this, I could activate Chen 4 times, twice to activate itself and twice more using the activations of Chiang Kai-shek. Now that might not be totally clear to people, but I understand what that means. Other things we can say about activations, there's such things as administrative HQs with its command quality printed red on its counter. That's a good one. Just a second. Right, I'm not entirely sure about administrative HQs, but they can't actually physically activate units, though they could activate a lower hierarchy HQ. I assume that includes the GHQ units, and I'll have to leave that for the moment. Another thing an HQ can do is, if it's a standard HQ, not a GHQ, you can not only activate units in your command range, but you can actually activate units outside your command range up to the maximum of your hierarchy. So, for example, Chen here, he's got a hierarchy 5. I could activate all the units in its command range, and 5 more that are outside the command range. But if I activate them outside the command range, they must move closer towards the HQ. The only exception is that as if a GHQ did it, I could actually activate out of command units, up to 6 of them. This is called mustering, by the way, and they wouldn't have to necessarily move back closer to the GHQ. Right, that'll probably do it for yeah, that'll do it for the moment.